All right, welcome everybody. Today we are talking about organized planning. If I'm completely honest, this topic does not make my heart sing for joy. And there might be some of you that might feel that same way too. You're like, organization, planning. I just like to visualize and feel good and do all this kind of stuff. So I hear you. I feel you. I love the ethereal things too, but this is the thing. We as souls have come into this experience as humans, into a human avatar body, and we're here to experience life as a human. And part of that is working in the physical, in creating plans and things that we're doing to operate in this dimension. So here we are talking about organized planning. Some of you, this lights you up. You're super excited, you love it. And I would suggest, because we're going to talk a little bit about the mastermind today, if you are someone who's more, is it right brained, where it's like creative and like ideas and flowing, all that kind of stuff, you need someone on your team in your mastermind that's the detail-y person, that's got, good at making plans and getting stuff down on paper, and vice versa. The super detailed, like analytical person, you need a creative person to work alongside, so you work in can help each other with your strengths. So organized planning, this chapter, it's important to note, is twice as long as any other chapter in the book, Think and Grow Rich. So it's important. It's an important chapter, and we want to, pay attention to that. Why did Napoleon Hill give this so much attention? But for all of those of us that are here, that we're on the journey, like the up and down of like the journey, and we have the goal, and we're working hard, and then things don't happen the way we think, and it's just like all over the place. Napoleon Hill says, if the first plan which you adopt does not work successfully, replace it with a new plan. If this new plan fails to work, replace it in turn with still another, and so on, until you find a plan which does work. Right here is the point at which the majority of men or women meet with failure, because of their lack of persistence in creating new plans to take the place of those which fail. Here's the thing. You don't change the goal, you just change the plan. If you haven't done something before, you're not going to necessarily know how to do it the first time out the gate. And failure is not a bad thing, it's just redirection. So shifting our perspective on this process of creation. A lot of people get discouraged when they try something once and it doesn't work. This is why we have a massive amount of people who do not succeed at attaining any goals if they set a goal at all. It's weakness of mind. It's not about being smart. It's not about being super talented. It's about weakness of mind. So when you're able to continue on towards your goal, even when there seems to be perceived failure, you will win. You are set apart from the masses. You are in the 1%. The amount of times that I have made plans and tried different things and paid different people and all that kind of stuff, and it didn't work as what I expected. There's too much to talk about on this call. Like, it's been all kinds of stuff that I've done. And anybody who's done anything will tell you they have failed so many times, but all it takes is that one time that works. Edison is a prime example that gets used to explain this topic. He failed 10,000 times before he got the light bulb figured out. What if he had quit on the second try? Seriously. And one of my favorite chapters in Think and Grow Rich is actually the chapter on persistence. We will get there, but if you want to skip ahead, if you're feeling like, wow, like I'm trying and things aren't working the way I think they should, you might want to go and skip ahead and read that chapter on persistence. Your success is inevitable as long as you don't quit. Simple as that. There's a lot of information in this chapter. We're going to go through it. This is about we're going to do some self-assessment, and we're going to look at how we can utilize what Napoleon Hill is putting in here in order for us to move ourselves forward. I'll tell you right now, even without doing this stuff, like learning this information in this chapter and applying it to your life, you're going to figure it out as long as you don't quit. You will figure it out through trial and error. But Napoleon Hill does talk about condensing the amount of time it takes to achieve your goal if you do some of this work and understand this chapter. The issue is a lot of times is words don't teach. And for a lot of us, we need to go through it ourselves in order to learn it. I'm one of those people. Sometimes I wish I was better at like taking instruction and just doing what someone tells me to do. But for whatever reason, I like to stumble through things and figure it out and come out the other side with some bumps and bruises. But if you're smart, if you're wise, you will learn from other people's mistakes and speed up the process for you. So organized planning, Napoleon Hill talks about, this is what you got to do. You've got your goal, right? You have the thing that you want to achieve. And we've talked about specialized knowledge already. So there's, you've worked, if you did your homework from that lesson, you've written out some plans. in order to get to where you want to go. And you also would have thought about what kind of people do I need to help me get to where I want to go? And what do I need to learn as an individual? What skill do I need to learn? And what am I willing to pay someone for? And like Marta just said, she's hiring someone to do some of her social media stuff, something she's paying somebody to do, because she's going to put her energy into something else that's maybe more suited to her. Then you can also utilize people who have information if you can give something in exchange. So we need to create the mastermind. What will you give to the mastermind? There's some examples of this in terms of just what's immediate for us right now. So think about, okay, so those in Living the Legacy. Living the Legacy is a mastermind, and then there's smaller groups within that larger group. If you look at the leaders in the company, so there's Andrew, and then there is some people that maybe we don't know, like the financial people or whatever. But take the example of Christian. He had a skill set in terms of technology that he offered to Andrew, to Living the Legacy as a company. And that is masterminding. Here is what I'm bringing to the table. I can offer, and now Christian is going to be getting lots of stuff from Andrew, like knowledge, experience, and things like that from other leaders in the company, access to resources, connections, all this kind of stuff is going to come to him because they've formed a group. So he's offering something. But the key piece here that some people miss is that he's offering something to the mastermind. Don't fall into the category of people that are going just to get, what can I just get out of this? What can you contribute? It's going to come back to you multiplied. You don't have to worry about that. But start thinking, be in harmony with the law of giving. What can I give? That mastermind could be our smaller group. What could you give? So there's me. So I'm doing these calls. I'm teaching on different things. I'm bringing in other leaders to help teach more information and, contributing in that way in order to help this mastermind of people. What are some things that maybe some of you could contribute to this mastermind of us? All of us are here wanting to achieve the same thing. We want to grow a successful business and self-development, helping people break through limiting beliefs and create lives that they love. We could be working together as a team and sharing the load of helping us all succeed. That's the power of the mastermind. But if we're just sort of sitting back hoping that somebody's going to take care of things for us and do things for us, that is not in harmony with the laws, and it won't work. So this is a really valuable thing to really think about yourself, as what can I give to the mastermind? And then if you're like, I have nothing, pick something that's kind of interesting to you and learn how to do it and get better at it. Then you need to meet regularly. There's about 20 some-ish people that should be on this call. And we have maybe 15. There's 40-ish people that could be on this call, but we have about 15 on here. No, 13. So even just showing up regularly for coming together is essential for your success. Napoleon Hill emphasizes that. He's like, do not overlook this. It is essential that you're meeting regularly with your mastermind. So showing up and being a part of it. And then you need to maintain harmony in your mastermind. Again, if you're at odds, look at with people in your mastermind. These are the people that are here to support you and encourage you, and like you're sharing all your stuff with. If there's issues, those need to be dealt with right away. We don't want to be having any kind of negative back and forth or whatever going. It's not going to be, the ship will sink. So we deal with those things very quickly. So this is the overview of organized planning. Napoleon Hill then goes into, I'm going to give you homework at this at the end as well, but you are going to want to sit down and think, okay, if this is my goal, here's my plan. I've laid out the steps. Here's what I offer. I need help in these areas. You got to establish a mastermind. You need people around you that can help you with where you want to go, with you keeping in mind, what are you offering to those people? Because there's a lot of information and experience and stuff that I have to give to you guys that you can come to me for. What are you going to give to me? What is the thing that you will contribute to help make my goals come true as well? And those who are of that mindset, that instead of coming just to get, because of course I'm here to give, but if you come with the mindset to give as well, you're going to see it's going to work so much better for you. And it can come, this can come from maybe you feel insecurities that you think, oh, I don't have anything to offer. I'm not good enough. And so you don't think that you can help me, or that you can help Andrew, or Christian or something like that. That's just the lies inside that are like, you're not good enough or you don't know enough. There's always a way to contribute and help and serve in some kind of way. When you're a leader, most of your information or messages and stuff that you're getting are people that have problems and that they need something or something's not working. So that giving that Alana is doing to like encourage me and like make me feel good in and of itself is a gift for me, because I don't get that a lot. So think about, it can be so, doesn't have to be this massive thing. You don't have to do somebody's whole marketing plan for them, but you can contribute in some kind of way. So think about that. What can you give? Napoleon Hill goes into leadership as well. And there are two types of leadership, that of consent and that induced through force. Obviously, the force one has been utilized in the past. It's not as popular nowadays. More so the type of leader, through consent, that people choose that leader and they want to follow that leader because, they're a really lovely person in many ways and have leadership qualities. I was with a friend yesterday picking up a new car from the dealership, and I was kind of waiting. He was getting in his car and getting shown everything. And then this man came along and he was like polishing the rims and stuff. He had a rag and he was kind of dressed in he looked like a fisherman. I thought maybe he was the janitor of like the dealership or something. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then he went away. And then just as we're going to be taking the car, that same guy came out, and then the salesman would be like, oh, this is the manager of our dealership. And I was like, seriously? The manager he was over there polishing the wheels of the tires. And I thought, what an example of a leader that is willing. And he was super friendly, really lovely guy, like just really encouraging and just a great personality, very enthusiastic. And I thought, that's an example of a really great leader. He's managing all these people, yet there he is polishing the rims of the tires before the car goes out. And that is a leader that is going to win the followers in terms of they want to follow a leader like that. They would feel joyful. So think about yourself and be like, okay, whether you want it or not, if you're in business and you are running a business, you are a leader. So you can't escape this. Some of you be like, I don't want to be a leader. I just want to be in the background and I don't want to have to put myself out there. I'm sorry. You're a leader and you might as well just accept it. Then you got to decide, what kind of leader do I want to be? And I'm guessing probably I know all of you and none of you, it's going to be a leader by force. It's a leader. You're going to want to be a leader that is of one that draws people to you, that they want to follow you. So then we need to do a bit of inner searching and reflect on ourselves and think about, do I exemplify these qualities and traits? So if you have a pen and paper, I would encourage you to write down, take some notes as we're going through this. And then you can also go back through the recording, because I'm going to go through it very quickly, or just in your mind, kind of do a self-assessment and ask, do I possess this quality? So important factors of leadership: unwavering courage based on knowledge of self and of one's occupation. So I can't remember her name, Fleur. She had asked me, she's like, how do you have such unwavering confidence and courage? And how can I develop that? So can you say, I'm very confident in myself and it's unwavering, and you exhibit that energy? And if you can't, then this is an area that needs some work. I'd like to know who feels like they have unwavering courage and confidence. If you don't, that's totally okay. Most people don't. I would say I'm quite confident, but I have my moments. Where it wavers. We all do. And that's okay. So what we want to do is we want to develop that. And probably be great if I did another call that was specifically on developing courage and confidence, because the only reason that you wouldn't be courageous and confident is because you don't know yourself enough. If you knew how incredible you are, there'd be no doubt about who you are and what you're capable of. So note where, again, I want you guys to take note, what areas do you need to work on? So if you're not feeling courage, then we're going to need to do some work on that. Number 2, self-control. Well, this one's sucks. Who wants self-control? But here we are. It's something that's important. So do you lack self-control? This can be, think about in major and minor ways. And if this is something that needs to be improved upon, then let's do that. A keen sense of justice. Without sense of fairness and justice, no leader can command and retain the respect of his followers. So obviously we want to be led by a moral compass, and that things are done right. There's definitely, this can be a gray area for a lot of people, but what comes back down to what is the intention behind what we're doing, and we do our best to have justice served. Definiteness of decision. Do you make decisions quickly? Is it, this is a big one as a leader. You really can't be humming and hawing and sitting and twiddling your thumbs as a leader, not making a decision. You do have to make the decision. You got to move forward. It can be the wrong, quote unquote, wrong decision. And then you're going to own up to that and be like, well, that wasn't the right decision, so now we got to do it differently. But if you are just in like a limbo land, then, that's, your followers will disperse, so to speak. So there needs to be movement forward and making decisions to do that. Definiteness of plans. This is what this chapter is about. The successful leader must plan his work and work his plan. A leader who moves by guesswork without practical, definite plans is comparable to a ship without a rudder. So do you have those plans? Have you even taken the time to write down even a vague plan of how you're moving forward with your business? The habit of doing more than paid for. That's another one that is like, depends on the person. I honestly am not naturally this way, where I am like going above and beyond. It's something I have to work on improving on myself. So thinking about that for ourselves, like what Christian is doing, where he worked for however many months slaving away without any pay, the likeliness of me doing that is not 100%. So I know like this is an area I can work on, and then I would go above and beyond than what I'm asked for. And then the next one is a pleasing personality. That one of the things, even as you're talking to people on your calls and sales calls and getting people involved with what you're doing, if they have the personality of a wet mop, probably not a good fit, and it's like having someone that, we want to be people that it feels good to be around us. And we all have our dynamics that we can share. Some of us are funny, some of us are organized, some of us are witty and charming and all these kinds of things. And you can develop these abilities. There's a great book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Highly recommend that if you want to improve in this area. Number 7, sympathy and understanding. And we could also say as empathy. Again, an area that I can struggle in, because I think, wow, people are so stupid, and why can't they get their act together? And I don't want to deal with all this silliness. Like we're above this, and I can get impatient, you could say, with people. So it's important to remember I was once in that place, or how would I react if I was in that situation? Or that person is doing the best with what they have from their current level of understanding. David Hawkins talks about this in the levels of consciousness. People are operating from their level of understanding. And so it's important for us to have empathy. And what seems like not a big deal to you could be a massive deal to that person. So it's good to have that empathy for others. And then we have mastery of detail. Successful leadership calls for mastery of details of the leader's position. This, again, an area that I'm weak in. So we can be aware of where we are strong as leaders, and where areas that maybe might be a little bit more challenging for us, and then having someone support you in those areas. So if I know I'm not great at details, if I have someone who is by my side, they can help me and we can work on it together, and I can get better at it as well. And then 9, willingness to assume full responsibility. This one's can be a bit of a hard one at times. The successful leader must be willing to assume responsibility for the mistakes and the shortcomings of his followers. If he tries to shift this responsibility, he will not remain the leader. If one of his followers makes a mistake and shows himself incompetent, the leader must consider that it is he who failed. And it can be challenging when you as a leader have, for example, hired someone or commissioned someone to do something, and they're failing at it because it reflects on you as the leader. So you can be running a business and maybe the marketing or the sales team isn't performing, or the person who's supposed to build your website isn't getting it done. And it's very tempting to be like the web developer, it's their fault and why everything's crumbling. But a real leader will be like, yeah, it's on me and I'm working on it and I'm getting better and getting this figured out and getting it sorted. So are you willing to take on the responsibility of being a leader? And it can sometimes feel heaviness, but if you can learn It doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't matter. It's just a thing. It doesn't seem like such a big deal. You can release the pressure of it, and you can let them chatter, let the noise out there. Just don't give it any attention. You have your vision, you have your goal, you know where you're headed. People are upset no matter what you're doing. Whether you're saving the world or destroying it, there's going to be people that don't like you. So you got to let the chatter happen and just don't really give it any credibility, and do your thing, but just accept the responsibility of because it's you, the visionary, your goal that's creating it. You're going through and you're manifesting this thing. So it's on you in terms of what's happening and what's being done, even if you aren't the direct person that maybe has made a mistake. And then the 10th one, cooperation. Cooperation, the successful leader must understand and apply the principle of cooperative effort and be able to induce his followers to do the same. Leadership calls for power, and power calls for cooperation. So as we've gone through this list, and I would encourage you to go through it again, go back to the book and just think, okay, give yourself a bit of a scale on how you're doing in all these areas, and pat yourself on the back for your strengths, but then look at the ones that maybe need a bit of improvement. And because you guys all have visions of doing maybe $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month. That means a growing team of people that you are leading. And we understand how the creation process works. You must be it even before the followers are there. So stepping into that role as leader, even if there's one person to lead, even if the only person to lead is yourself, that you're still developing yourself as a leader. I'm going to blast through this one as well. This is a self-assessment of 30 major causes of failure. And not going to do the other one where it's like that self-assessment on, there is a self-assessment that is kind of lined up with these causes of failure, and it's self-analysis questionnaire for personal inventory. So part of the homework is to go through those questions and answer that honestly for yourself. And then we know where we can make some shifts in order to get ourselves moving forward. But we're going to go through this and look at these 30 major causes of failure and see if any of this is going on in your life. And then what you can do is either once you kind of have some things, okay, this is a thing that's holding me back. This is when you come to the mastermind. This is when you come into our group chat. I instead of messaging me personally, unless it's like something that you want to keep private, put it in the group chat and let's mastermind around how you can overcome that failure or overcome that like thing that's causing you to kind of keep staying stuck. All right. So really, really valuable to do these assessments of yourself. First one, unfavorable hereditary background. This can be like a major one for people in terms of, your upbringing. What was your environment like when you were growing up? Remember, as we go through this is not a blame game. This is not something where we're like, oh, poor me, this has happened to me. This is about self-awareness so that we can make changes if we need to. If you know that you were brought up in a background where you're felt very much dependent on the system, like say a welfare, somebody was brought up with being in the welfare and you're just like, it's a bit of a handout, I need to be given, I'm not going to work, and I'm just going to depend on the system. It is what it is. And then you might notice I have this inclination just to sit back and wait. I just want something for nothing. Then we understand that's what's going on. So we can begin to shift. Okay, let me look at this differently and let me look at things differently so that I can do things differently. And it's just worthwhile looking and seeing. Napoleon says, there is but little, if anything, which can be done for people who are born with a deficiency in brain power. This philosophy offers but one method of bridging this weakness, through the aid of the mastermind. Observe with profit, however, that this is the only one of the 30 causes of failure which may not be easily corrected by an individual. This is why coaching is important. This is why the mastermind is important. This is why it's important to have support. Because you're programming, remember those first 7 years, you're programmed. And so we often will need help to get out of that and go on to something different. So check in with yourself. Is that going on for you? I would say if your family was not wealthy or had lots of health issues going on, number one is an issue for you that you're going to want to get help with. Number two, lack of well-defined purpose in life. Is this an issue for you? Do you know what you want? Number three, lack of ambition to aim above mediocrity. There's not a lot of hope for the person who's just okay with just mediocrity. If there's not a desire for something more, if there's not like that ambition, there's not a lot that can be done for that individual. That first has to be there. There needs to be a desire. So do you lack ambition? Insufficient education. And now, like, remember that this book was written 80 years ago? 80. We're in a very different time right now in terms of education. I just saw a video on AI, and this guy was saying like universities and colleges are going to be useless in the next, short amount of time, because he went and used ChatGPT to write a whole course on neurobiology. And he's like, you'll be able to just get the course outline and get all the information and everything you need to learn without going to school, and it'll be all for free and in an organized way. We're not so dependent on the education system like we once were, but you have the ability to get educated on what you need to very quickly right now and access information very easily. So this isn't, if you feel like you don't know enough, not a big problem at all. You can quickly get the information you need. Hello, computer. Oh, I feel like there would have been one more. Lack of self-discipline. Do you lack self-discipline? Number 6, ill health. Is health an issue for you? This can be a huge roadblock for people, because if you're sick and not doing well, it's hard to be motivated and have the time and energy to do what you need to do. So if your health is not in order, this is a thing to really take charge of. That should be a priority. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but eating McDonald's every day and people are putting all kinds of chemicals on their bodies and doing all kinds of stuff. Just make some shifts in order to make your life easier so your health improves. And then number 7, unfavorable environmental influences during childhood. Again, I feel like this kind of comes back to the number 1. Looking at yourself and seeing, okay, what programs do I have running that might be hindering me? Get the help to shift those programs and move on. Hypnosis, repetition of affirmations, listening to audios and things like that of the programming that you want right before bed, and while you're sleeping, and working with me one-on-one, where I do clearing trapped emotions and things like that in order to release things from childhood that are vibrating and attracting and creating things we don't want. Like, tackle this one head on. Then number 8, procrastination. What's the joke about procrastination? I used to just do crastination, but now I'm a pro. There's something like that. I don't know. But I have some people in my life that are master procrastinators. But the interesting thing to watch someone who's like a master procrastinator, if there's a deadline, they can still get it done. It'll just be, they'll be up for 24 hours working like you've never seen before, right before the deadline. I've witnessed it happen. It's quite incredible. But if you can overcome this, and again, that has to do with making decisions and just going for it and getting stuff done, you will move at a lot faster rate, as well as with more ease in your life. You won't feel that stress and pressure. Okay, the next one is lack of persistence. Do you give up easily? Do you quit? You're like, oh, I tried this even like 10 times and it didn't work, so I'm done. This is a common one in the entrepreneurial world, where people get into like network marketing or e-commerce or whatever. People try it and they get one rejection and they quit. That persistence. Again, it's just don't quit. I may not do things well. I may not, have it all figured out, be a master. I may not be super hardworking, like I'm far from like these amazing leaders out there that accomplish all these great things. But one thing I can tell you is I don't quit. And I think that's probably been the biggest contributor to me attaining whatever I have attained, is just because I didn't quit, not because I was any of these other things. So is lack of persistence an issue for you? Then negative personality. There is no hope of success for the person who repels people through a negative personality. I really don't feel like anybody here on this call right now has this as an issue, but maybe there's stuff going on within your mind that needs a bit of cleaning up. Lack of controlled sexual urge. Do we have any sex addicts here in the group? You don't have to put your hand up, you can keep it to yourself. But what does this actually mean? Okay, so sex energy is the most powerful of all the stimuli which move people into action. Because it is the most powerful of the emotions, it must be controlled through transmutation and converted into other channels. So there is actually a whole chapter dedicated to this in the book, which we will get to eventually, sex transmutation. Ultimately, sex energy is creation energy. So if you're just depleting it all the time, if you're having a lot of sex without consciously utilizing that energy, then you can find that you just depleted and don't have energy, especially for men. But again, this is a whole nother topic, but just think if you're controlled over that sexual urge, that can be something that's distracting you or keeping you off of your goals. Number 12, uncontrolled desire for something for nothing. I've definitely been in this boat before where I'm just like, I want to be saved. I want to, here's some money and like, just take care of it all for me. I don't want to like deal with it. So shifting out of that state of wanting everything done for us, just handed to us on a silver platter without giving anything. 13, lack of well-defined power of decision. Well-defined power of decision. Men who succeed reach decisions promptly and change them, if at all, very slowly. Men who fail reach decisions, if at all, very slowly and change them frequently and quickly. Indecision and procrastination are twin brothers. Where one is found, the other may usually be found also. Kill off this pair before they completely hog-tie you to the treadmill of failure. Making those decisions. Do you hum and haw forever? At the very least, clean up the little ones. Where to eat for dinner. How, like, what clothes to wear. Like, all this kind of stuff. Just, like, make the decisions, get that stuff cleaned up so that you're creating more space for yourself energetically for things to flow through into what is important. And the next one or more of the 6 basic fears. These fears, again, comes in a later chapter, and they must be mastered before you can market your services effectively. So we'll leave, if you don't really know what that is, we're going to address it later, but this can be obviously holding you back as well. 15, wrong selection of a mate in marriage. Who's been there? Who's been there? I know a few people have. This can be challenging especially when you're young and you don't know what you're doing, you don't know who you are and don't understand yourself, and you pick a partner, and then you can find yourself in a difficult situation. But this extends beyond that too, like in terms of friends that you're connected to, that you're still giving a lot of influence over you, that are influencing you. So this can be a huge one. Over caution. I would, if you are very cautious, it's gonna hold you back. And we think we're being smart, and we're weighing all of our options and being super careful and diving everything. And there's a place for research and stuff like that. But people who are overcautious move very slowly, if at all. You got to be able to take risks. You got to just go for it when you don't have all the information. You got to fall and figure it out as you go. Wrong selection of associates in business. I know I've done this a lot, where I've chosen people that weren't a good fit, and then I hung on to them because I was operating more from like trying to be nice, I think. So think about who is with you in business, or who you're going to be selecting. We can be based off, oh, look at them, they are living in their mom's basement and I feel sorry for them and they need work, so I'm going to hire them. but they're lousy at what they do. So make sure that we're thinking about what is most effective for me moving towards my goals. Is this person a good fit? Superstition and prejudice, this can get in the way. Superstition is just like a form of fear. We can be thinking, oh, a black cat walked across my path, now all this bad stuff's going to happen to me, or the moon is in this position, or Pluto's doing this, or whatever. Those are all there as signals of us to do some reflection on what's going on in our life, but don't let them hold you back. Don't let it be like, well, I'm a Scorpio, I can't help it, or my mom tells me that this color is bad luck for me, so I'm not going to make this decision. Like, just, you can transcend all of that. Don't be bogged down by all these different things. Don't be afraid of it. And then 19, wrong selection of vocation. Are you choosing something that is a good fit for you, that you love, that you enjoy, that where your giftings lie? 20, lack of concentration of effort. Are you able to focus your energy on something? Or are you bouncing around to a bunch of different stuff all the time? Not ever finishing anything, not ever sticking with something to its fruition. This can be like, that shiny object syndrome, where we just keep, oh, this is a little bit difficult, and then I tried it twice and it didn't work, so let me try this thing. And then you go back and all over the place, and then, you keep having to start over all the time. Concentrate that effort, tune out the noise, and that, because now you're focusing, instead of that energy being all dispersed and all everywhere, and you focus it in, now it's much more powerful. And then we have the habit of indiscriminate spending. The spendthrift cannot succeed mainly because he stands eternally in fear of poverty. Form the habit of systematic saving by putting aside a definite percentage of your income. A great place to start is T. Harv Eker's money jar system, because we want to know our abundance, and we want to know our freedom and what we can, generate, the income we can generate. But if you are continually spending more than you make at $3,000 a month, you take yourself with you wherever you go. So you're going to do that $1 million a month. Kanye was in debt $60 million or something like that, so he was making all this money, but he was still spending more than what he was making. So it's an ability to let's generate an environment where we're playing the game in a way that suits where we want to go. So with the parable, it's the parable of the talents in the Bible. For those of us who are given a little and we do well with what we're given, we will be given more. So sometimes our issue, why we're not experiencing the abundance and the success that we want, is we're still not doing well with what we currently have. So why would the universe magnify that for us and put us into more pain? So let's do well with what we have, and then we'll be given more. So getting spending kind of in a good place is important. Lack of enthusiasm. You can go so far on enthusiasm. You could, if you're lacking in skills and all kinds of stuff, but you're enthusiastic, you will do well. So think about yourself. And this is a really good reason why it's important to record your calls, your sales calls, and your presentations, and then listen back to yourself. Is your tone, and you're kind of you feel yourself falling asleep as you're listening to yourself? And, we want to see the enthusiasm and the passion, and that's, people want that, because people are bored and their life sucks and, whatever. So when they see someone who's excited and passionate and you can do this and so happy, they're like, oh, it's like a drink of fresh water in a desert. So do you lack enthusiasm? Intolerance. Remember, on the map of consciousness, as we go up, we have courage, then we move into neutrality, and neutrality is about practicing non-judgment. So as we move up into higher levels of consciousness, everything gets easier, everything gets faster, we're exuding more power and all that kind of stuff. But if you are just judging and nitpicky and frustrated with people and wanting things to be in a certain way, you can't handle somebody being different than you, it's really going to slow you down. Closed mind. The person with a closed mind on any subject seldom gets ahead. And we've all heard the saying, the only difference between the person that's making 60 million versus the one that's doing 60,000 is the one who's making 60 million has accepted ideas that the other one hasn't. So having an open mind, what do you not know? What do I not know yet? What else can I learn? Like what do I think is true that actually isn't? And then now we're able to advance much faster. Intemperance. The most damaging forms of intemperance are connected with eating, strong drink, and sexual activities. Overindulgence in any of these is fatal to success. As much as we enjoy those things, and it's good to enjoy those things sometimes, if it's taking over, that can really hinder us as well. 25, the inability to cooperate with others. So can you work together with other people? Are you able to do that? 26, possession of power that was not acquired through self-effort. This is an interesting one. Sons and daughters of wealthy men and others who inherit money which they did not earn, as an example. And power in the hands of one who did not acquire it gradually is often fatal to success. Quick riches are more dangerous than poverty. May this be an encouragement to you who feel that you're in this struggle of becoming wealthy and you think it sucks and you wish you could just win the lottery or whatever. You are blessed that you are working out your wealth and your success, that it wasn't just handed to you. And I've seen it happen before. There's a person that comes into mind that him and a couple of other guys were in their early 20s and they made 7 million within about a month doing some automated Amazon business stuff. And they lost it all within a few months after that because it came too quickly. They weren't able to sustain it and weren't able to handle it. So roots that grow deep, grow strong. It may take some more time, but then as the plant grows above ground, we start to see the fruits and the winds and the storms come along because it had time to develop a strong root system. That tree isn't going to be blown over. So be encouraged that success is taking time, maybe longer than what you might want. It's good. 27, intention, dishonesty. There is no substitute for honesty. One may be temporarily dishonest by force of circumstances over which one has no control without permanent damage. There is no hope for the person who is dishonest by choice. Sooner or later, his deeds will catch up with him and he will pay by loss of reputation, perhaps even loss of liberty. So be honest. And just ask yourself, am I being dishonest with my intentions? Egotism and vanity. Is that an issue for you? Number 29, guessing instead of thinking. I want to throw into there, like bringing intuition into the mix in there as well. That you just notice yourself if it's just like, oh, let me just throw things around and like hopefully something works, or do you kind of sit and kind of think about it? What does your gut tell you? And maybe seeking a bit of advice from a couple of people who have been where you want to go is all a good thing to do. 30, lack of capital. This is a common cause of failure amongst those who start out in business for the first time without sufficient reserve of capital to absorb the shock of their mistakes and to carry them over until they have established a reputation. This is a thing that people don't understand and that have only been employees think like, oh, they don't even want to invest $10,000, let alone some of them wouldn't be willing to invest 100. They don't understand it takes money to learn the skills, to hire the people and whatever. Like typical business, that's how it works. And then without that, it's like, yeah, if you only have $1,000 and you're going to run Facebook ads, you need more money than that to do all the testing to figure out this doesn't work and this does. And so having capital is important. And there is something I underlined in here where it talks about capital. Capital isn't only in money. I don't know if you guys know the quote. Where was it? Because capital is also, because when you're starting out, sometimes you don't have all the money, you don't have tons of it, and there's other forms of capital that you can also utilize. You can use, when you're in the mastermind, you can be utilizing the information and the knowledge of others. Here it is. Capital consists not alone of money, but more particularly of highly organized, intelligent groups of men and women who plan ways and means of using money efficiently for the good of the public and profitability to themselves. So, for example, with Living the Legacy, we have people with different knowledge. So Brandon Hines, or Hintz, or whatever his last name is, who's doing the training on organic social media. If you were to hire him as a coach, it's $25,000 a month. Okay, and he's in there giving this information that he teaches his people. And so there you have, you can look at that, like you're, instead of paying the $25,000, it's like you have that capital that you're investing to learn this skill. But you're not actually having to spend it, but it's like you have it because you're having access to that information. So we have people here that are like doing and helping in these different ways and utilizing our resources in order to come together and support each other to be successful in our businesses with relatively little capital. There's always a way to do it. Okay, so, and any other thing that you might think of that would be stopping you, make sure you note that down. And then this week for homework, what I would like for you guys to do is to write out the names of your mastermind, who you are going to approach, and decide what you're going to contribute to the mastermind. So you've got your goal, you've written out a skeleton plan of how you're going to achieve your goal. You've looked at the areas that you need to develop yourself on, what you need to learn and grow, and the skill set you need to develop in order to move towards your goal. And you've outlined the roles that you're going to need help from other people, that you're either going to need to hire or you're going to acquire through a mastermind. So these are things that need to be happening. If anybody's going to be successful in any kind of endeavor or business, these are things that need to be happening. And it's important that you don't just hear this information and consume it, but then now you take this information and you apply it. And thinking about what can I contribute, because there's people in this community, they're very successful and they have great and wonderful information, but they're busy. So if it's just, I'm going to go and get from these people, let me just see what I can get from them. You might get ignored. You might not get a response in the DMs. But if you come with something that you want to give now that's going to help that person or help and contribute to a group of people, now you're going to have people coming to support you as well. So get that all lined out, write it on paper, spend time looking at that this week. And number 2, do the self-analysis questionnaire for personal inventory. In my book, I don't know if you guys have the same one as me. It is on page 177. It's this self-analysis questionnaire for personal inventory. And that's where the first one is, have I attained the goal which I established as my objective for this year? Number 2, have I delivered service of the best possible quality of which I'm capable? And go through all of those and see where you're at. And there's no number 3. Lucky you. So that is just those 2 things, but they take a decent amount of time to do those. And then remember, you have a community of people in the Reality Hackers chat, as well as the Living the Legacy Facebook group, for those of you in there, to, if you need help with something, like this is something I'm trying to achieve or want to achieve, I don't know where to start, I don't know what I need, put it out in the group and get the information. You could spend 10 hours researching it online. You could post in that group and have an answer in 2 minutes from somebody who already knows. So utilize these things to your advantage. All right, I am going to end things now. If you have questions, anybody have questions before I end the recording? Awesome. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now. I hope you really enjoyed that video and were able to take away some nuggets that are helping you on your journey. I am deeply committed to my mission to raise the vibration of the world one person at a time. Of course, that starts with me and my own journey and then extends through the teaching and energy and healing work that I do on a day-to-day basis. I see really two angles to come at this journey of evolution for us to raise our vibration so that we can experience abundance and freedom and joy, those loving relationships, those healthy bodies, all those things that you're searching for. It actually is a journey that happens from within. And on the one angle, we come at this from understanding, gaining wisdom, beginning to discover ourselves and who we really are. How does the cosmos work? What is the soul's journey? This is why I teach on YouTube and give videos on my social media in order to gain understanding and wisdom and awareness so that we can logically move ourselves forward. The other angle to come at this is through inner work, through healing, through what has been coined as shadow work. This is why I do energy work and I use things like the emotions code, like bioresonance, do subconscious reprogramming, brain entrainment, all these beautiful and wonderful things in order to do work inwardly to shift our vibration. When I say shift our vibration, you naturally, at spirit soul level, vibrate at a very high level with perfect abundance and freedom and joy and all those things. But what happens though through life experiences, we tend to hold on to things like limiting beliefs, traumas, fears, doubts, anxiety, stress, all this kind of stuff that's not you. So our journey of raising our vibration is actually a journey of letting go of that which is not us. And so that is the other angle that I utilize in order to help people raise their vibration into these places that feel really, really good. What happens over YouTube though, or over these videos, is that there can be a disconnect. You can't necessarily talk to me or ask your questions. And so you sometimes feel like you're alone. So I'm really excited to announce that I have a membership where we can meet once a week and you're able to ask me questions as well as work with other people that are like-minded and on this journey together of raising our vibration, of manifesting lives that are beautiful and wonderful, that we're so happy and excited to be alive, living our passions and doing the things that bring us a lot of joy. On those calls, I will actually work with you individually as well. For people who are wanting help, I can release negative trapped emotions right there in person. For those who would like that done, I can use my bioresonance technology in order to read your frequency right then and there and actually send you frequency that will help bring more balance for you as well. And you can also, again, ask your questions, and I share even more tips and tricks than I have available currently on YouTube on how to heal the shadow on the day-to-day when you're on your own and I'm not there with you. What are these things and practices that you can do that ultimately raise your vibration? As we shift and release that which is not us, all the money and the relationships and the love and the health, it just is a byproduct of that. It's a symbol of the shift that's happening within yourself. So if this membership is something that sounds exciting to you, you want to connect with other like-minded people, you want to connect with me and grow in community together, there is a link in the description where you're able to get more information on that and sign up, and I would love to see you there.